Peace begins in silence. There are moments in life when the noise is unbearable, not from the outside but from within. Expectations, fears, self-judgment. They echo louder than any traffic, any criticism, any crowd. In the middle of that storm, a strange truth emerges. Silence is not emptiness, it is transformation. The Stoics understood this long before psychology caught up. They practiced their philosophy in silence, not for applause but for clarity. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor of unimaginable responsibility, wrote to himself, not to impress the world but to discipline his mind. He knew, true strength is forged when no one is watching. We live in a time where visibility is currency. But some of the most powerful revolutions happen behind closed doors, in solitude, when you stop reacting to the world and start listening to yourself. Today we begin a journey into the 17 habits you must eliminate, in silence, to truly live a stoic, disciplined, and free life. No spotlight. No applause. Just internal evolution. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Eliminate the need to always be right. In the middle of an argument there's a moment, brief but potent, when you have a choice: escalate to win or pause to grow. The desire to always be right is one of the subtlest prisons of the ego. It's the voice that says, if I lose this argument, I lose respect. But Epictetus taught that it's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. And sometimes the need to prove ourselves becomes more disturbing than the event itself. In everyday life, this shows up when we correct someone unnecessarily, when we turn conversations into debates, or when we can't let go of a discussion even after it's no longer useful. At work, at home, even in casual talk, that impulse to be right whispers, don't let it go. You need to win. But here's the paradox. Insisting on being right often means being wrong in the bigger picture. You sacrifice peace, relationships, and humility just to hold a mental trophy. Modern psychology backs this up. In couples therapy, one of the first things taught is that you can be right or you can be in relationship. Constant correction erodes trust. Even in professional environments, leaders who dominate conversations with their need to be right create cultures of silence and resentment, not excellence. The Stoic alternative is simple: choose peace over dominance. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change. It's the truth I'm after, not the ego. What does that look like practically? In a meeting, instead of interrupting, listen. In conflict, pause before reacting. Ask yourself, is it more important to be right or to be calm? Silence is not surrender. Sometimes it's the strongest form of leadership. Let go of the need to win every argument and you'll win something far greater: inner clarity and the respect of those who truly matter. Lesson 2. Stop comparing yourself to others. There's a quiet war going on inside many of us, one fueled not by failure but by comparison. You scroll, you observe, you measure. His success, her beauty, their lifestyle. And without saying a word, your mind whispers, you're behind. But here's what Stoicism teaches us: you are not in competition with anyone. Marcus Aurelius said, ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. Comparison is toxic because it distorts your perception of progress. It assumes we're all supposed to arrive at the same destination at the same time by the same path. But life doesn't work like that. A tree doesn't envy another tree. It grows silently at its own pace, guided by its own nature. When you compare, you abandon your own timeline. You stop asking, what am I capable of? And start asking, am I as good as him? That shift destroys momentum and peace. From a psychological perspective, constant comparison activates a cycle of inadequacy. It raises cortisol, the stress hormone, and creates a loop of dissatisfaction. Social media intensifies this, showing only the highlight reels while hiding the silent struggles. The Stoic alternative is inner measurement. Are you better than you were yesterday? Are you more disciplined than last week? Are you more composed in chaos than you used to be? Here's how to apply this. When jealousy arises, use it as a signal. This is showing me what I value. How can I pursue it in my way? Audit your inputs. Who do you follow? What do you consume? Replace envy with admiration. Let other people's success inspire action, not insecurity. You don't need to be faster than anyone. You only need to be consistent with yourself. Growth that's real is quiet, slow, and unshakable. Let go of comparison, and watch how your mind begins to clear. Lesson 3. Eliminate the habit of over-justifying yourself. You make a decision, a firm, honest one. But then comes the instinct: explain it. Justify it. Make sure everyone understands. Seek permission for your truth. This habit, often learned in childhood, is subtle but deeply corrosive. It tells you, you're not enough unless people agree with you. And so you talk more than necessary. You explain yourself into exhaustion. You trade your peace for validation. But Stoicism offers a sharper blade. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because living with integrity means acting according to your values, not others' approval. Overjustification is often fear in disguise. Fear of judgment. Fear of rejection. Fear of not being seen as good. But trying to be understood by everyone is a trap. It leads to mental noise, emotional dependency, and an identity shaped by others. Modern psychology calls this external locus of control. It means your confidence is fragile, reliant on others' opinions instead of internal conviction. The antidote? Silent confidence. The kind that acts, then lets go. Here's how to apply this. Next time you make a decision, resist the urge to over-explain. Just act with clarity and walk forward. Remind yourself, not everyone needs to understand. I need to be aligned, not approved. When questioned, be brief and direct. Don't wrap your truth in decoration. Over-justifying drains your power. But silent decisiveness commands respect, not because you explained it, but because you lived it. Lesson 4: Stop seeking recognition. You do something noble, something difficult, and then a pause. A part of you waits for applause, the like, the nod, the validation. But here's the danger. When recognition becomes your fuel, your character becomes conditional. Seneca warned, he who seeks approval from others is giving them power over himself. The moment your worth depends on someone else's applause, you become a slave to their opinion. You stop acting from principle and start performing for praise. This isn't just philosophy, it's psychology. Studies in self-determination theory show that intrinsic motivation, acting from internal values, leads to deeper satisfaction, greater persistence, and stronger identity. But external validation? It's fleeting, addictive. It creates emotional highs and lows that don't sustain. Think of it like this. A Stoic builds in silence, not for recognition but for excellence. A man of virtue acts rightly because it's right, not because it's seen. Marcus Aurelius wrote entire reflections that were never meant for the public. Why? Because greatness doesn't need a witness. In your life this means, you train in the gym when no one's watching. You choose kindness without broadcasting it. You work hard and let results speak, not your posts. Recognition isn't evil, but dependency on it is. So here's your test. Would you still do it if no one ever knew? Build quietly. Create without announcement. Serve without applause. That's the Stoic way. Lesson 5. Eliminate the need to control everything. You double-check. You overthink. You plan endlessly, hoping to predict every possible outcome. But no matter how tight your grip, life resists control. The Stoics understood this truth with brutal clarity. Epictetus taught that some things are up to us, and others are not. Trying to control what's not yours to command leads to frustration, anxiety, and burnout. The modern world glorifies control. We track every metric, monitor every move, plan every step. But still things go wrong. People disappoint. Situations unravel. Control is an illusion, and a costly one. Instead, Stoicism teaches adaptive strength. Not the strength of prediction, but the strength of presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That's not passivity, it's wisdom. It means preparing where you can, accepting what you must, and responding with clarity. Psychologically, this aligns with the concept of radical acceptance. Studies show that accepting reality as it is, not as we wish it to be, reduces stress and increases emotional resilience. Control often masquerades as preparation, but at its core, it's fear. Here's how to practice this. Before reacting, ask, is this within my control? Focus on your input, not the outcome. When plans shift, adapt instead of resisting. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means focusing on what truly matters, your thoughts, your actions, your responses. The man who doesn't need control is unshakable. Lesson 6. Stop giving your opinion about everything. In conversations, online debates, or even silent observations, there's a temptation to always weigh in, to say something, to correct, to comment. But what if your silence was more powerful than your voice? The Stoics believed in economy of speech. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we may listen more and speak less." There's wisdom in restraint. Not every moment needs your voice. Not every situation requires your opinion. When you feel the urge to speak, ask yourself, is it useful? Is it necessary? Or is it just ego? Modern psychology aligns with this. Emotional intelligence, especially self-regulation, is a top predictor of leadership and resilience. One key component is learning to pause, to observe without reacting, to speak with intention, not impulse. In practical terms, at work, give your opinion when it adds value, not just noise. In relationships, choose understanding over correction. On social media, resist the need to react to everything. Restraint is not silence out of fear. It's silence out of strength. The man who can withhold his opinion is not weak, he's disciplined. He knows his energy is precious, his focus is sacred, and his words, when spoken, carry weight. Speak less, observe more. You'll gain more respect, more clarity, and more peace. Let's continue. Lesson 7. Eliminate silently held grudges. You move on, but not really. You say it doesn't bother you, but deep down it does. A slight, a betrayal, a word left unspoken. It stays in the background of your mind, poisoning your peace from within. Grudges are emotional clutter. And like clutter, they silently consume space you need for clarity, joy, and focus. The Stoics viewed resentment as a form of self-inflicted suffering. Seneca wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It corrodes you, not them. Forgiveness, then, is not about condoning the wrong. It's about freeing yourself from being mentally chained to it. It's about reclaiming energy that's been wasted in silent conflict. From a psychological perspective, holding on to resentment is associated with increased stress, depression, and anxiety. Letting go, on the other hand, activates healing. It lowers cortisol levels and creates emotional spaciousness. This doesn't mean reconciliation. It means release. Practice this. Reflect on who you're still carrying in silence. What weight do they hold in your thoughts? Say to yourself, "I choose peace over bitterness. I forgive to be free." Every time the memory returns, gently return to that decision. You don't owe anyone reconciliation, but you owe yourself liberation. Release the grudge. Not loudly. Not publicly. Just quietly, and walk lighter. Lesson 8. Stop fearing to disappoint others. You say yes when you want to say no. You agree to things that drain you. You carry a weight that was never yours, the weight of other people's expectations. At its root, the fear of disappointing others is the fear of rejection, of not being liked, of being seen as selfish. But what you sacrifice to avoid that discomfort is far more costly. Your time, your truth, your inner alignment. The Stoics didn't live to please. They lived to be just, wise, courageous, and temperate. Epictetus reminded us, if you want to be free, then learn to live without the approval of others. When you constantly try to meet everyone's expectations, you lose sight of your own values. You become reactive instead of sovereign. And eventually resentment grows, not toward others but toward yourself. Psychologically, this ties to boundary erosion. People-pleasing is often a trauma response, a learned strategy to avoid conflict. But it doesn't lead to peace. It leads to self-betrayal. Here's what you must remember. Saying no is not rejection, it's self-respect. Disappointing someone is sometimes necessary to stay true to your purpose. Every time you choose integrity over appeasement, you strengthen your core. You can't carry everyone's expectations and your own mission. One will have to fall. Choose wisely. And walk forward with quiet strength. Lesson 9. Let go of the guilt of being who you are. You hold back. You edit yourself. You apologize for your intensity, your quietness, your difference. But the truth is, you were not made to be a copy of someone else. There's a kind of guilt that runs silently in the background, not for what you've done, but for who you are. It shows up when you feel too much, think too deeply, move too differently. And to survive, you hide parts of yourself just to fit in. The Stoics called this a betrayal of nature. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That includes honoring your design, your wiring, your path. When you apologize for your essence, you teach yourself that authenticity is a liability. But it's not. It's your greatest strength. Your uniqueness is not the problem. Pretending it doesn't exist is. In psychology, this is linked to the concept of self-concept clarity. People who know and accept themselves experience more resilience, more confidence, and less anxiety. It's not perfection that creates peace, it's self-ownership. Here's what that looks like. Stop explaining your dreams. Just build them. Don't apologize for needing solitude or for being bold. When guilt arises, ask, am I guilty of wrongdoing or just being different? The world doesn't need another mask. It needs people grounded in truth. Be honest, not perfect. That's the quiet revolution. Lesson 10. Stop living for others. You follow a path you never chose. You meet standards you didn't set. You chase goals that don't satisfy. Why? Because at some point, you began living through someone else's lens. The quiet tragedy is that many people succeed at things they never truly wanted. They achieve but feel empty. They please but feel unknown. This is the result of chronic self-abandonment, trading authenticity for acceptance. The Stoics warned against this. Epictetus said, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. That means aligning your actions with your core, not with the applause of the crowd. When you live for others, you outsource your purpose. You move reactively, not intentionally. And eventually, you forget what your own voice sounds like. Modern psychology calls this enmeshment, where your identity gets blurred with others' needs and expectations. Over time, this leads to anxiety, resentment, and deep inner confusion. To reclaim your life, get brutally honest about what you actually want, not what looks good but what feels true. Start saying no to what disconnects you from yourself. Remember, your life is yours, not your parents', not society's, not your peers'. Living for others may gain you short-term approval, but living from your truth creates long-term peace. Reclaim your direction, in silence, with strength. Lesson 11. Stop placing your peace in others' hands. Someone cuts you off in traffic. A colleague criticizes your idea. A friend doesn't reply. Your peace vanishes. Why? Because, without realizing it, you gave them the power to disturb your inner state. This is one of the most dangerous habits, outsourcing your emotional stability. The Stoics were crystal clear on this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. What they taught wasn't emotional detachment, but emotional sovereignty. When your peace depends on other people's actions, you become reactive. You wait for them to be kind, respectful, appreciative, just so you can feel okay. But you can't control others. You can only master your response. In psychological terms, this is called internal versus external locus of control. Those who anchor their peace internally are more resilient, less anxious, and more fulfilled. They don't wait for life to calm down, they bring calm into life. Here's how to build that kind of peace. When someone offends you, pause. Ask, do I want to give them this much control over my mood? Meditate on the idea, nothing external disturbs me unless I allow it. Practice emotional boundaries. Let people be who they are, without letting it shake who you are. Peace is not about everyone treating you well. It's about you treating yourself well no matter how others behave. Take your peace back. Quietly. Powerfully. Lesson 12. Talk less about your plans. You feel the excitement of a new idea, and before it's even born, you speak it into the world. The approval feels good. The recognition is immediate. But something strange happens. The motivation fades. Talking about your plans can create the illusion of progress. You get a dopamine hit from announcing your intention without taking a single step toward execution. The Stoics warned us against this. Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. In other words, let action be your language. Let discipline be your announcement. When you speak too soon, you expose your vision to noise, doubt, distraction, unnecessary input. Worse, you may start to craft your dream around others' reactions, instead of your own inner clarity. Psychology confirms this. Studies show that people who announce their goals publicly are less likely to achieve them. Why? Because the praise you receive replaces the drive to work in silence. Talking creates comfort. Progress requires tension. Protect your energy. Protect your dream. Write it down. Keep it close. Let it grow in silence. Build before you broadcast. Don't waste momentum on applause. Use it for creation. True achievement doesn't announce itself. It appears and it speaks for itself. Lesson 13. Stop carrying others' emotions. He's angry so you feel responsible. She's upset so you try to fix it. Someone's disappointed and you think it's your fault. Slowly, silently, you start carrying emotions that aren't yours. This habit is heavy. It erodes your energy and blurs your identity. You lose touch with where others end and you begin. The Stoics drew a sharp line between what we control and what we don't. Another person's feelings, no matter how intense, are not your burden. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." And filling your mind with others' emotional chaos only leads to internal noise. From a psychological standpoint, this is called emotional enmeshment. It creates chronic guilt, anxiety, and a lack of boundaries. The healthier response is emotional responsibility, for yourself, not for others. That doesn't mean cold detachment. It means grounded compassion. You can care but not carry. You can listen but not absorb. You can support without losing yourself. Practice this. When someone is emotional, ask, "Is this mine to hold?" Don't apologize for things that aren't your fault. Repeat silently, "I can be kind without overextending." Protect your emotional core. Not by isolation, but by distinction. Set boundaries in silence. That's strength. Lesson 14. Reduce negative input into your mind. Every day, without noticing, you consume content that shapes your mood, your thoughts, your beliefs. The news cycle, the scrolling, the gossip, the noise. And just like junk food weakens the body, mental garbage weakens the mind. The Stoics treated the mind like a fortress. What you allow in determines what you become. Seneca warned, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." This applies not just to people but to everything you absorb. Negativity is addictive. Outrage is loud. Drama sells. But just because it's common doesn't mean it's harmless. Modern science confirms this. Neuroplasticity tells us the brain rewires itself based on what we repeatedly consume. You become what you feed your attention to. Constant exposure to negative media leads to higher stress, lower optimism, and a distorted view of reality. You must curate your mental diet as strictly as you would your physical one. Audit what you watch, read, and listen to. Choose silence over noise, wisdom over clickbait. Spend more time with books than with breaking news. Peace requires intention. Clarity needs protection. Your attention is a resource. Don't waste it on what diminishes you. Filter your inputs. In silence. With discipline. Lesson 15. Eliminate the habit of reliving the past. You replay the conversation, the failure, the moment you should have done things differently, again and again like a movie on loop. But while your mind replays, your life stalls. The past cannot be changed, but it can quietly chain you if you refuse to let go. The Stoics were blunt about time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Forget everything else. Keep hold of this alone and remember it. Each of us lives only now, this brief instant." Dwelling on what's behind you distracts from what's in front of you. In psychology, this habit is known as rumination. It's linked to depression, anxiety, and lowered problem-solving ability. The brain gets stuck in emotional cycles, replaying pain without resolving it. But learning from the past is different from living in it. Wisdom means extracting the lesson, discarding the weight. Try this. When the past resurfaces, ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Write it down. Close the book. Return to the present. Practice mindfulness, not as a trend but as training. Attention is your anchor. You are not the same person you were in that memory. Don't let old versions of yourself define today's choices. Free yourself from history and you regain the power to create something new. Lesson 16. Stop complaining all the time. There's a kind of language that slowly weakens the soul, the language of constant complaint. It doesn't sound dramatic. It's casual, subtle. But over time, it reshapes your mindset from proactive to powerless. The Stoics had zero tolerance for a victim mentality. Epictetus taught, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly." That's not fatalism, it's internal strength. It's the decision to meet life with response, not resistance. Every time you complain, you reinforce a belief that you are helpless, that life is unfair, that someone else holds the solution. But the Stoic man sees adversity as training. He meets it head-on, silently, with fire. Psychology backs this up. Complaining rewires the brain toward negativity bias, making you more likely to notice problems than possibilities. It becomes a loop. The more you voice dissatisfaction, the more you feel it. The cycle feeds itself. To break it, notice the next time you're about to complain. Pause, reframe. Ask, "What's one thing I can do about this?" Trade blame for responsibility. Trade noise for action. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a discipline. It's choosing to see the opportunity beneath the obstacle. The more you complain, the smaller life feels. The more you take ownership, the larger your world becomes. Choose power. Quietly. Relentlessly. Lesson 17. Stop putting yourself last. You prioritize the deadlines, the demands, the needs of others. You postpone rest, silence your own voice, and call it strength. But slowly, quietly, you disappear. This isn't selflessness. It's self-neglect. The Stoics knew the difference. Seneca said, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." Time is fleeting. Your energy is finite. Putting yourself last is not noble, it's unsustainable. When you constantly place others before yourself, you run on empty. And from that place, your actions are no longer generous. They are resentful, tired, fractured. In psychological terms, this is called martyr syndrome. It's a pattern of self-sacrifice rooted in guilt or low self-worth. But you can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself is not vanity, it's integrity. Reframe this. Rest is preparation, not laziness. Boundaries are protection, not rejection. Choosing yourself is not abandonment of others. It's alignment with your truth. You were not meant to carry everyone. You were meant to carry yourself with strength, and from that place lift others wisely. Self-care is silent power. Prioritize it, not with noise but with quiet commitment. Embrace the quiet path of mastery. There is a path that doesn't shout. It doesn't crave applause. It doesn't seek validation. It's walked in silence, built in discipline, and lived in alignment. That path is Stoicism, not as a theory but as a quiet revolution. You've now seen the 17 habits that slowly, silently erode your peace. They don't announce themselves. They creep in. But once seen, they can be removed, not with drama but with deliberate action. Each one is a weight. Each one is a noise. And with each one you let go, you return to yourself. Remember, transformation does not need to be loud. Real change begins in the mind, moves through your habits, and settles into your character. It's not about who's watching. It's about who you become when no one is. Marcus Aurelius led an empire. He also wrote to himself in silence. That's the paradox of power. The stronger you are, the less you need to prove it. So here's your challenge. Audit your inner life. What habit still holds you? Practice quiet elimination. No announcement, just action. Revisit this path often, not to impress but to refine. Leave a comment below. Which habit are you working to eliminate right now? What hit you the hardest? Subscribe for more content that sharpens your mind and strengthens your soul. And if this spoke to you, share it with someone walking the same path. Peace isn't announced. It's felt. And it begins always in silence.